year and got 49% of the vote. I think he forced Marilyn Lloyd to retire. He is considered to be the odds-on favorite to win right now.
Now, is that an open seat now?
That is an open seat right now. And Zach again ran last time, almost won, has gotten the support of people both locally and nationally, and should win that race. In the 4th congressional seat, that's an open seat because Jim Cooper is running for the U.S. Senate. Our candidate is Van Hillary. He was born and raised in the district, went to public schools, was a decorated veteran in Desert Storm as a small businessman. Their candidate, Jeff Worley, graduated from college, went to Washington and became an aide to Bart Gordon, and has been trained in the ways of Congress and the corridors of Washington. And the one thing Tennesseans don't want is they don't want another person who's been trained in Washington. And so we think Van Hillary has got a good chance for that because he reflects the beliefs and attitudes of that district. In the 5th congressional district, that's an uphill climb. John Osborne is a bright, attractive young businessman who's taken on Bob Clement. As you know, this district is pretty much overwhelmingly Democrat.
Now, this is the Jackson district.
This is the Andrew Jackson district, and that makes it tough. I will say this about John. He has displayed a splendid aptitude of identifying the issues. He's taken on Bob Clement face-to-face and won hands down every time they've appeared together, and he's getting a lot of support. I think Bob Clement knows he's going to be in a race. In the 6th congressional district, our candidate is Steve Gill, who has his roots deep in the 6th congressional district. He was raised the son of a military officer who was born in the 6th congressional district and has lived all over, but his roots go back 6 generations. And he's finding he's got a lot of Democrat cousins who want to support him these days. He's running against Bart Gordon. Bart was elected in 1984. Bart has a fairly liberal voting record. Bart was challenged last time and spent $900,000 to his Republican opponent's $170,000, and she got 43% of the vote. We think Steve will be well-funded. He is perceived to be a conservative. He is connecting with the folks in that district. He's articulate. He's drawing out the contrast between himself and Bart, and we think we have a competitive race there. In the 7th congressional district, that's also open. Don Sundquist is running for governor. Our candidate is Ed Bryant. Ed was the former U.S. attorney who resigned when the Clinton Justice Department tried to force an issue with Harold Ford. That got a lot of attention for Ed because it was perceived that he was standing up for what was right when pressure was put on him to drop the charges against Harold Ford. His opponent is Harold Byrd. Harold was a former state representative. His brother is currently a state representative from there. Harold ran for Congress in 1982 when Bob Clement ran in that district. As you know, Don Sundquist defeated Clement. Harold Byrd went back to private life. Now he's coming out again. Harold has not been on the political scene a while. The trick there is, will Don Sundquist pull enough votes there to pull our candidate through? Will our candidate be able to show the contrast between himself and Harold Byrd? And we believe there is a contrast there.
Now, your most important race, admittedly, would have to be the gubernatorial race. That is in the state of Tennessee. What about that governor's race?
That race is tough. It's going to be really tough. Our candidate at this point is ahead. Our candidate has a 12-year record of honest, ethical, conservative government. The Democrats are trying to paint Don Sundquist as a career politician. Let's set the record straight. Don was 46 years old before he ever ran for Congress. He had raised his family here in Tennessee. He had started a couple of small, successful businesses, and he had a background of community service. He is not a career politician. Phil Bredesen has ambition seeking title matched with a lot of money. He came to Tennessee by way of Massachusetts. He ran for the state senate in Massachusetts. He advocated the legalization of marijuana, but he's down here calling himself a conservative. He came to Nashville, made a lot of money, and no problem with that. He took advantage of the American opportunity, and that's great. As soon as he made his money, he ran for mayor of Nashville in 1987. He advocated a payroll tax at that time, and he was defeated. Once he was defeated, he turned right around and ran for Congress because Bill Boner had vacated that seat. And at that time, he said he was a Kennedy Democrat. But now he says he's a lifelong conservative, and he was defeated. Then he ran for mayor in 1991 and was elected. and promptly raised property taxes in Nashville to its highest level ever. At the same time, the crime rate has gone up by 16% in Nashville, while the rest of the urban parts of Tennessee have not gone up more than 3%. There's something wrong here. He said he wouldn't run for governor. Now he is running for governor. He said he was for privatization of schools. Now he says he's not. He said he did not want taxpayers to fund abortions. I'm sorry, he said he wanted them to fund abortions. Now he says he doesn't want that to happen. That's why we started calling him Flip-Flop Phil, because we never know where he stands on these issues. That's the contrast that you have. Our candidate will spend a large amount of money, $6 million, which is too much for a political office.
That is a lot.
Mayor Bredesen has said that he's going to spend between $10 and $12 million. It appears to us that this is more about a media campaign, filing charges and countercharges, as opposed to developing the issues. Our candidate has said repeatedly he'd like to stay on the issues. He has not attacked Phil Bredesen. He's only counterattacked him and tried to offset what Bredesen's trying to do. The campaign is getting increasingly negative as the days go by. That's unfortunate. They ought to be running on the records and their issues. Every time Sundquist starts on the issues, he has to come back and defend himself from Bredesen's attacks. I think it's time they talk about those issues. If they don't do it, I think what we're going to see is a lot of money is going to go toward convincing people of something that they already know.
Okay, and I think, Mr. Richardson, since it does seem as if there has been some muddying of the water in reference to the issues, let's look at the issues, because I think that you've given us a good view in terms of the candidates that are out there for the Republican Party. And our audience, again, ought to be reminded that Ms. Eskins will be with us next week to say essentially the same thing in reference to the Democratic candidates. But let's move beyond Tennessee and look at some of the national issues that many of these national leaders are coming into the state of Tennessee, both Republicans and Democrats, in order to support their candidate. Let's look at some of the issues on the